Hello and welcome to the Second Row podcast. My name is Parker Kelly, and with me, as always, is Will Foley. We're here to talk about all things Connacht and Irish rugby. It is international season. Will, how are you getting on?
I'm not too bad. I'm not entirely sure what time zone I'm in right now.
You've been all around the world.
I've been all around the world this week. Got back yesterday evening and then decided to stay up to watch some of the World Cup last night and some of the adventures for Cape Verde against Argentina till about 2 a.m. and then got up at 8 a.m. to watch New Zealand France. So not regretting my choices. All excellent sporting occasions. But I feel... I'm in my 40s now. This is going to catch up with me.
Yeah, it's tiring.
It's tiring. It's
tiring.
If we're going to stay up for South Africa, tonight against England, that'll be a long day of sport. A good day of sport. But a long day of sport.
As we're recording this for watching Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, if you're still watching that late into the week, we're going to this on Saturday afternoon at about 3:20. So Wales-Fiji is currently being played.
Yes.
We have no idea what the score is there.
Yeah.
Fiji,
they were relatively level when we left it.
And start setting up for this. So
yes.
As you can tell, we're going to talk about Ireland, dipping into maybe New Zealand because it's got relevance for Ireland.
Yeah.
And that is it. We're not going to do a full Nation Championship debrief because, one, so much rugby.
It's almost too much.
Too much.
Yeah.
And we have wives and lives that would like us to not spend all our weekend watching and talking about rugby.
Yes.
So decisions had to be made.
And also, many things happened that were not related to the Timo World Cup this week in terms of rugby in the last 2 weeks since we were here. So maybe we'll get into the news.
We'll get into those rugby news bits first. I think the main bits of club news anyway was the Champions Cup draw happened during the week.
Yeah.
And the Challenge Cup draw because, Ulster, and we'll start with the Challenge Cup and we'll
You can't really say European Cup anymore because of the South Africans.
Yeah, there's a
It feels weird to say the European
I know
rugby.
what you mean.
Yeah.
It's kind of, but Ulster will be very happy with their draw.
Yeah.
They'll be playing Cheetahs. Who's that? Perpignan, USAP. Yeah. Bayonne and one of Dragons or Zebra. Like it's
a pretty good group.
That for them should be quarterfinal, semi-final at a very high pass seeding wise.
They should
locked out.
They should be able to get first or second in that group easily. Certainly second easily unless something goes completely off the boil for them in terms of injuries or things like that. But first is definitely well within the reach in that group.
Depends on if they actually go for it or not. They could they could proper go Europe. It's an issue if we get to knockouts.
Yeah, and again, I suppose they'll look at it this season of we're back in the Champions Cup, but last year we ended up outside the top 8, and
is a Challenge Cup run worth for them?
Yeah.
That's a question. If I think having another year of people going in and out of camps and all that type of stuff, they'll be a bit more prepped for it. So that could be good for them in that sense.
They're still on a build, right? We know that. But it is good. It's they'll be happy with this group. They should dominate that group.
So talking of soft pools, Champions Cup draw happened. Leinster are go have Poe, Sale, Leicester Tigers, and Claremont.
It's okay. I'm happy enough with that.
That is a nice pool of teams.
Yeah.
Who do you want away? You want Poe at home. In terms of game winning, you want Poe at home.
Yeah.
In terms of gate, you want Claremont at home.
Yeah.
It's kind of a thing. And then Sale and Leicester, I don't think it really matters who. But Sale is not an easy place to go to either. Leicester.
No, and they're not great places to go to in the winter in particular.
I think Sale's particularly quite a heavy, boggy pitch.
Yeah.
Connacht have been there away. They've done the Enya match.
Yeah.
Quite a few times over the years.
Yeah.
Then Munster in Pool 3 will have Bordeaux, Racing, Bristol, and Gloucester.
Yeah, I mean, not an easy group. But I know a lot of people are focused on the Connacht group in terms of that being kind of the group of death. But Bordeaux, sorry, who do I go? We had Bordeaux,
Racing.
But Racing do take Europe relatively seriously.
Yeah.
Bordeaux are Bordeaux at the end of the day, and Bristol aren't pushovers.
No.
I think certainly based on current form of Munster would be an incredibly difficult game for them.
Yeah, I think if they can get Racing in Cork, so are they playing they're playing those matches in Cork.
Yes.
or at least one of them.
At least one of them is getting played in Cork, I believe.
You want Bristol in Limerick or Cork.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
they're the ones they'll want
Yeah.
in Ireland.
Yeah,
You know, at the very
yeah.
least, and that gives them a chance of getting out the pools.
Yeah.
Personally speaking, I don't think they're going to. I think away in England will be. Given their now, if the form changes, that's a different story. But on current form, I think away games in England and France are going to be tough for them.
Very tough. Yeah.
But yeah,
particularly with who they're like again away to Bordeaux, away to Racing. Like neither of those are easy games to go away and do. Like
I know. And speaking of not an easy away trip,
yeah.
Pool of Death or what is Connacht's return
welcome back.
Welcome back. And here's the thing, like so many people, I kind of put it up online, you know, the pool, and I was like, oh, tough group and all this type of stuff. And I got a response back about, like someone responded to that person kind of going, but if you want to play being the big dogs, you got to play the big dogs and all that type of stuff. And I think Connacht, do you know who's loving this group? The Connacht marketing team.
Yeah,
because it doesn't matter, you know.
These are all big games.
All big games.
Take any of these scalps, it's a big day, like, you know.
I think ideally from a Connacht supporter, going away and having the crack, they want La Rochelle away from home. Yeah. And I would say they want Exeter away from home.
Yes, I could see that. Those are two good ones. Yeah, like Northampton travel well as well, typically. So, like, you usually, like, Leinster have played Northampton a good few times now. And like they do bring a little bit of a crowd with them at times and stuff like that. So
Northampton are in our pool. You mean
sorry? I'm looking at the next pool.
Saracens and Exeter. Like I think Saracens will put Connacht bums on seats.
Yes.
And Toulouse will do the same thing.
Yes.
And they travel really well. Like I remember being at that first Champions Cup match behind the goal. In the sports ground, and my dad, who's not a rugby person, going, good God, the size of them compared to the Connacht lads. At that time, they were just an inch or two bigger in muscle and everything.
But even that prospect of Antoine Dupont potentially coming to the sports ground, to the Dexcom and stuff like that, like, you know, will draw people in for that alone. Like.
I do think in that pool there are two home sellouts. I think that's what you want. You have full crowds. Yeah. It's a ridiculous draw. How many winners of the Champions Cup are in there? Like, they're all winners that we have to face, apart from the Lions, obviously.
Like you've got domestic league winners and Champions Cup winners there, and like multiple times, like, you know, there are
Saracens
8 stars, 9 stars. Well, what, right? So you've got Toulouse have got 5 stars. Saracens have got 3. La Rochelle have got 2.
And Exeter have
got 1.
That's 11 stars.
So you've got 11 stars in that group, you know, straight away.
Brilliant.
Like it is. Like, for the other teams in that group as well, that is a tough group. Like, it's hard to predict who's going to come out of that group.
The thing is, there'll be points taken off each other in that group.
Yeah, 100%.
You would think.
Yeah,
anyway. That's what that group is actually what the Champions Cup should be about, that kind of...
Yeah.
And you hear rumours about it going to a 16-team tournament, being all knockout. I'm like, lads, people aren't going to give up 2 good gates minimum, you know? Like, they've dropped one as it is to go to this new format. Like, the gate at the door makes so much difference, especially in rugby. It's like, at the end of the day, rugby gate, the TV deals aren't so big, whether the gate on the day isn't important, you know?
I think if you're going to do that, if they decided to go that route, you have to go a little bit more like the Champions League and go qualifiers to get into that top 16. Maybe, you know, top 2 from each league auto qualify, and then everybody else has to go through like a qualifier system, which is just like then a pool system in that sense. Yeah, I could see that being like, again, drawing those gates and all that, but it's
extra games. That's the problem for all the games, and they want to get rid of as many games as possible from that from Europe at the moment. I'm like, but I think what you see and the big problem is in the both competitions is it doesn't really matter until the quarter, even the semi-finals.
Even sometimes the semi, but you get the odd quarter that's very good, but the semis is where the competition tends to come into its own.
Yeah, and it will have a different shape next year. Yeah. Which confused me watching the Teamy World Cup, because I thought it was actually involved.
You thought it was in this one, yeah.
So the bonus points are changing to the French system. So
yes. So for those who are not familiar with that, so the current system is you score 4 tries, you get a bonus point, regardless whether you win or lose the game. Yeah. And then if you lose the game, but you lose it by less than 7 points or within 7 points, you get a second losing bonus point. The French system, however, is you have to score 4 tries, and then you also have to win the game by at least 2 tries to get it, right? That's the...
I think it's 3. There'll be 3 tries more. at least 3 tries more, that gives you your winning bonus point.
Yes.
And to get your losing bonus point stays as be within 7, but no team can win 2. So the max game points will be 5-0 or 4-1.
Yeah.
There'll be no 5-2s anymore, I think, is the main one.
Yeah.
And
the goal behind that is, why they do it in the French league, is to always be attacking. So like you get 4 tries, the other team gets 2. You have to go and get a 5th try to get back out that gap to get your bonus point. Your bonus point is now gone in that scenario, even though they're not getting the bonus point because they're more than 7 away. Yeah, so that's the logic behind it. What it does in the French league is the home team tends to run up a cricket score, as you would say. So like we'll see how it actually plays out. I'm in favor of it in terms of like you don't get into these situations where a team goes out and scores 4 tries in the first half and then just sits back in the second half because they're like, well, we've won it now and we've got our 5 points. There's literally nothing more to get out of this game.
They kind of have to push on just in case.
Just in case, exactly.
And it will make a difference in how the pools all shake up because that's changing as well.
Yes.
I'm going to read that out what the difference is because I couldn't remember. So the 3 highest clubs in each pool automatically can go through.
Yeah.
And then the remaining 4 places will be done by position. The highest game winners, the highest points total across the pools, no matter how many games are won.
Yeah.
So it stops teams going through with 1 game win or 3
win
draws
or
or something like that.
Stuff. Yeah.
So it gets rid of that. I think that's good. I think that's...
Again, I think it's positive. I think, again, even if you're like not, you're losing games or you're not winning the games, there's still that drive to continue scoring.
Yeah.
Right. And not ease off in that sense as well. So the goal is really to like... and I think like sometimes these rule changes, I think people at times get a bit negative about it, and it's like you're constantly tweaking the game and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, like there's a strategy there from a rugby point of view and like from EPRC to make it an entertaining game, to make it attacking in style, and that's what they're trying to do here. We'll see whether that is what actually plays out next season.
Yeah.
But that's certainly the goal. And like my view of that thing is like I'm all for trying these things if the goal is to try and make it a more dynamic game and get teams attacking, maybe playing a little bit less conservatively and like taking more risks on the pitch, not in terms of like players, but in terms of just like playing more expansive, like you know, kicking the ball in behind, trying to go for the line breaks, trying to chase forward, all that kind of stuff.
But styles make fights as well. You kind of don't want to get rid of what the South African style of that good maul and things like that. You want to, it's kind of, hopefully you still get that good mix of styles of rugby as well.
Hopefully so. Yeah.
We'll move on from the Champions Cup and European rugby into kind of more the sad news. Philip Doyle passed away since we recorded. He was the head coach of Ireland's women's Grand Slam team in 2013.
Yeah.
And to call this man a pioneer in Irish women's rugby is actually an understatement. He is quite literally the person who fought tooth and nail to get a team to a place in 2013 that should have been the rocket, and that was to propel the women's game.
Yeah, I think there's no better like measure of the trajectory of like say Ireland and England in terms of the women's game.
Yeah.
And for people listening who maybe weren't paying attention in 2013 or weren't paying attention at that time to women's rugby, again, it would be the majority of people in that sense. Ireland had the potential at that stage to push on in the way England have pushed on and the way France have pushed on the back of the good work that Philip Doyle was doing with the team. And again, is with the lack of vision from the IRFU and the interest from the IRFU to push it on, maybe David Nusafora a little bit might take some blame there for not being interested in the women's game.
I think there's many people there who can
share in the blame of that. Yeah,
and
but certainly not Philip Doyle.
And no, and like when you see the amount of like comments and what people are saying about him and stories about what's happened, like what he did as a person to get games and players and everything, you just kind of go, he went above and beyond what any coach would do in normalcy just to kind of get things done. And I think he was missed from the game when he left.
100%.
He'll be missed as a person to friends and family and the people who knew him at the time.
Of course, yeah. But again, just a huge, a titan of the sport in that sense in terms of his impact on women's rugby. So a huge loss, and obviously, as you say, for his family and stuff like that. So our sympathies out to his family and those that cared about him and the players that played under him and the staff that worked with him and all that. His impact will be felt for years to come, I think, in women's rugby. And those stories, like that 2013 win, all that, those stories will be told for a long time in dressing rooms for women's rugby.
Yeah, and I think he's left a legacy in the game that we're now seeing develop of what should have happened back then.
Yes.
And in terms of the new role created in the last couple of weeks, that was announced.
Yes.
It's kind of a player pathway role, trying
Yes.
to just keep that 16 to 23 player in the club, because there is no under 18s or under 21 tournaments and things like that. So it's keeping those players. There's 4 roles, 1 per province. These are names that won't be amiss to most people who know about women's rugby.
Yep.
Connacht have Larissa Muldoon, Munster have Niamh Briggs, Leinster have Derek Mabry, and Ulster have Neil Alcorn. And their job is to be that bridge between what most provinces has is a very good under 8 setup.
Yeah.
And then there's just a gap until all these players are 24,
yeah.
23, 24, you know, and just keeping them in and keeping them involved.
That essentially that academy time period, that your 17 to 22, 23 time period.
Exactly.
Where you're coming out of the underage system and into adulthood, but not full senior rugby in that sense.
It's quite close to a DOR role from what I can see.
Yeah.
You know, it's that kind of big picture of how can we keep players going. And this is in mind of like in 3-4 years time, there will be pro.
That's the goal, yeah. And,
you know?
and like I certainly read the Connacht announcement on this, right? And they're like very direct, like in the announcement of like this is part of the pathway to professional women's rugby in Ireland, like at club level. Like this role is the next step in that journey, very directly stated from that perspective. So, you know, again, if anybody's wondering, will there be a women's Leinster, 4 provinces, Leinster, Connacht, Ulster, Munster, professional women's team? Yes, that is the plan. That is what the provinces and the IRFU are working towards.
Yeah, and they're
getting the structures set up in place, getting the staff in place to enable that in a few years.
And this is effectively what will be in 3 years' time an academy role. This is like
100%. This will be the head of the academy or whatever role basically in 4 years' time.
Eric Elwood's doing currently in Connacht. This will be his role.
Yeah.
And there'll be a head coach of the women's team, just like there is for all the men's teams.
Yeah.
And having these blocks in place is now what's needed to kind of just bring these things into professionalism and move the game on for the future. I'm looking for, like, it'd be interesting to see how all 4 provinces end up, because it looks like the PWR merger with the Challenge Cup is looking more likely.
Yeah.
And I still stick by what I said on day one when I heard about it. It will not happen if the RFU don't have a seat on the board.
No.
You know, and the PWR kind of has to go away, reform, new league, and go again.
Yeah.
But no, definitely the stepping stones to professional women's rugby at club level, provincial level, are definitely being put in place, and it's not before time.
No. If it's late. I think we would all agree with that these are roles that should have come 3 or 4 years ago, but I'm not going to lambast them for doing them now. They're being done. We reward the fact they're being done. Hopefully these people will be successful. It's going to be really interesting, I think, to see. These are the type of roles that are so critical in all sports, right? These kind of development roles and like those bridging roles. And we won't see the results of it for probably 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
But what it is this is the finding the next Aoife wafer, and like finding all of those players coming through and developing them to get into those squads and stuff like that. And I think you're looking at, you know, the next Women's World Cup where you will start to see some of this drip through in the first, you know, crop of these players that are brought through the pathways, maybe showing up. There'll be 1 or 2 breakout stars at that World Cup where you're like, oh, like I haven't seen them before. I haven't heard that name before. I haven't seen them in Six Nations. Like, and it'll be some 23-year-old or 24-year-old that's just like rocketed through on these systems. Yeah, and it comes back. Like I remember, I coached girls rugby, and I've been telling girls for the last couple of years. Yeah, there will be a Leinster for you to play for professionally. Yeah, and this is now when I go back to the under 14s, I'll be coaching this year. Going like, this is the role that's going to be looking for you in 4 years' time. Yeah, when you're like between the age of 16 and 18. Yeah. When you're in the Leinster, like if you're a Leinster underage or in like North Midlands or kind of like localised team, kind of trying to help fund you into growing up into a professional sport. That's her job, you know? Yeah. So it's quite interesting. You can kind of point out to players who are kind of going, will I go county? Yes. Or will I go rugby? Yeah. They might stick with rugby because you can kind of point towards, no, here's why this is on, you know? So yeah, and you're at that danger point, right? Like as I said, like you coach kind of under 14s and stuff like that. Like, again, statistically, 14 is the age that girls drop out of sport at huge numbers. Like, that's where the social pressures start to kick in, the other priorities start to kick in. And again, those development systems, those things are not there to keep them engaged and to show them that there is a path, that if they wanted to potentially pursue this as a career, that there is a path to do that and there is staff there to help them, and that it's not something they're doing on their own.
Yeah, and
in that way.
And like it's all about like that comes back to like people at club work, and just kind of keep all those things going.
Yeah,
and just getting people in helping.
Yeah.
Right. So before we move on to the Ireland match,
yes,
do not forget to hit that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube, or if you're listening by podcast. Hit that subscribe. Don't rate, review, and leave a comment. All positive, please. And hit that 5-star. Make me show up in people.
You can leave a negative comment. I'll read the negative ones.
Oh, yeah, I read them as well. Yeah. Like, it's just funny. And don't forget to follow me everywhere on social media. That is the second row. That's 2ND, not the word second. Questions, answers. We will do all those things. Get involved. It's as much as your podcast as it is mine half the time.
Exactly. And then maybe to mix it up a little bit this week, because we've only got the one game to talk about. Normally we have our Irish bit in between two of the games, where they relate from a theme point of view. So we're going to start with our Irish bit rather than before we go into the game from a theme perspective. And I think this is a word that is very relevant to Irish rugby and the Ireland team over the last little while. I think it applies from the Six Nations, and it's applied from the autumn, and I would argue it applied to the Lions, which is around slow starts and slow in general. In terms of a theme to how Ireland start tournaments or series at the moment.
So the Irish for slow is Mull, and tá sé inis couple of clifford tá too small Creve ag Nairney. So Ireland have its slow starts in competitions a few times now. And like you said, the too small cup, the Clifford Mall cup, the Clifford Dunnock cup in 9 rank. They had a bad game against France, and they got better as the tournament go on. The Nero Clifford Intach up in 9 Australia. They did have a great game against Australia today, and that will more than likely progress. Yeah. But it's definitely something that this Irish management setup have to be aware of.
Yeah.
Is 5A Matashi de Curtus like Comortashi Marsha Homal Lesha. So it's an issue if they're starting competitions as slow as this.
Yeah.
And that is it. And speaking of a slow start to competition, Ireland.
Yeah. They kind of eke out the win almost in a game that they were behind for the majority of. So Ireland 33, Australia 31. High scoring game. We commented at one point when we were watching it that this isn't really the scoreline of Ireland games of the last number of years.
Yeah.
In the sense that normally if Ireland is scoring somewhere in the region of 33 points, they are shutting out the other team and not letting them get scores. Or if they are letting 31 points in on them, they are not also scoring 33 points. Yeah. They're scoring like 12.
It was a really weird game because the style of game never changed, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So what Ireland were trying to do didn't change from minute 1 to minute 80.
Yeah.
And what Australia were doing didn't change from minute 1 to minute 80.
Yeah.
No one was like, oh, they're doing this, we'll tweak this.
We'll shift.
They're like, no, our game plan is getting us points. We're going to keep going with it.
Yeah.
And Australia went, well, our game plan is getting us points. We're going to keep doing it. And from an Irish point of view and defence especially, it looked a bit disjointed at times. People weren't singing off the same hymn sheet. And
no.
Defence, I always call defence the easiest thing to fix in a team.
Yeah.
Because once everyone is singing off the same hymn sheet, especially in terms of shooting up, drifting, even just communication and numbers, it will just help. I think one of the early try for Australia was literally numbers on the blind side, you know, and one person shooting up, one person drifting.
Yeah.
And it's that type of stuff that was kind of, you saw a fair bit of it.
You did, yeah. And I think, like, for me, this is the Leinster of it all, right? This is the now fact that Leinster play a different, particularly defensive system, but just in general different system than Ireland play. Like they have a different style now with Niall Arbor as the defensive coach and stuff there than what Ireland do. And I think similarly to the Six Nations and like even the Six Nations last year and stuff like that, you can see the players just need more time to get back into the Andy Farrell way of playing for Ireland,
and even mindset
and just kind of like approach to the game and the way he kind of gets them geared up for it, and at least that disjointedness, particularly I think in defense from that point of view. I would equally say, like, it might be an odd comment that people might not expect, is like based on how Australia were playing wide and like going for the line breaks, is like we missed Balakoon, right?
Bit of pace
and strong defensive kind of wing winger there as well. Like, his ability to kind of shut down and make those tackles on the wing would have been, and like obviously he went out early in the game. I don't think Jimmy O'Brien, like I'm not trying to say Jimmy O'Brien was the problem coming into the squad, but Balogun is a quality player in this type of game.
Yes.
And like, would it have made a dramatic difference to scoreline? We'll never know. But I think he just shores up a wing for you and acts as another almost like center in those moments when they're going wide or trying to find those line breaks. They maybe just get a few less of those line breaks, and our defense is not under the same pressure as it was for large sections of this game where they were making line breaks for fun.
Yeah, I think you have to caveat a lot of the Irish performance in the injuries as well. And we'll come to the set piece issues, but that's minus, like, I think technically on our third and fourth choice props, loose head props.
Yeah, they're thereabouts.
So you're missing McCarthy and Porter, from the front row. That's a huge loss in terms of dynamic ball carrying, but just the set piece in of itself. Your injuries across the back line. Mm-hmm. I think you missed, like, Mac Hansen a day like this, Balogun.
Yeah.
There's actually
James Lowe. Like, again, experienced wingers and like strong defensively and stuff like that. Like, and these are all losses. Like,
you do miss those type of things, but it's what worried me and what Australia are doing, or what they were able to, I think, more so, is find those spots where you were going from prop to back in defence. I think Swilly, he got a few like little, just lovely those little ghosting lines that we said Ione was very good at, where he's just teasing in the outside defender enough to kind of create a line break for himself. He did it a few times, and across the Australia attack, they were able to create line breaks quite easily. Between tip-ons, they weren't even great offloads. You wouldn't say they were offloading like
no. They weren't doing anything like wild or exciting in the offload.
They were able to isolate players far too easily, and line breaks 80% of the time were scored. Like, you were almost like the second,
or certainly serious meters. Like they were getting 10, 15, 20 meters out of the line break in that sense.
And that's quite worrying. The fact that, like, don't get me wrong, Keenan made some great cover tackles. Sam Prendergast made put his body on the line. Came across, put his body line on a good few times. Joe McCarthy had a decent game, like tracking back. So they were getting scragged, but I think once they were able to do what Ireland can't, is we've made the line break, we can score in the next three phases when they're disjointed. And that's what they did. If they didn't get past the first 4 or 5 phases without penalty advantage, Ireland tended to keep them out. Yes. But their ability to score within the first 3 was very good.
Yes, and I think there you mentioned penalty advantage. Like, the other thing, and again, I think it was partly just those line breaks and that defensive pressure, is Ireland's discipline in defence, particularly in the first half, was quite poor.
Very poor.
They were coughing up quite easy penalties, a few brain dead decisions here and there that just didn't. That is, like, not typical of Ireland in that sense, right? Like, in terms of, like, and some of that was just they were tracking back a lot, so therefore they were getting caught in offside positions. They were coming in from the side on rucks just to try and slow it down, and it's just that thing of you're going to give away more penalties when you're under that sort of pressure, particularly again if you're in a bit of a disjointed system from a defensive point of view. If you've only spent a week or two together, like, again, for like I know the team went out early, but the Leinster guys didn't travel till like Monday or Tuesday of this week.
Yeah, they went out a bit later. It was quite, and like, even though the stats saying that Australia gave away 13 penalties to Ireland's 10,
it's position though, like, of where they were giving away.
Position, but I also think you're not count. I don't think they count the advantages. They only count the ones that are blown up.
Yeah.
So Ireland gave away an advantage and concede.
Yeah.
Whereas I think we made Australia stop playing, and Australia would give us the penalty, So I think both teams there could easily have been, if they included advantages, into the 17, 18, 19 each, by the way. I think both teams were equally...
Which again, both for Australia coming up against, say, like a France, and us coming up against a New Zealand, will get very heavily punished for.
Oh, yeah. Like that, and this was a real style clash.
Yeah. Styles make fights kind of thing. Like,
because Ireland were trying to just like go, no, we're going to play in their half.
Yeah.
It was almost old school. It's one of the places that I was kind of disappointed in Ireland, and their kicking wasn't great. I think Sam Prendergast's up and unders were a bit almost too long. He wasn't getting the hang time he was getting, say, in the URC final. Yes. To say, like, we know we can do it, that type of hang time, he wasn't getting it. And Australia,
they were contestables, but not maybe a pure 50-50. It was like a 55-45 for Australia. It was just like that little bit too far, or shorter and like not with the hang time, so they had time to get set for it and stuff like that. Like,
so I think things like that, and one of those kicks led to an Australia exit, which almost led to their try in the very opening. But and that's not saying he had a bad game. I don't think he had a good game either. It was one of those I think
he was fine. Like
You know, he'll hate himself for the intercept that he kind of he was playing the system, not playing what was in front of him. He knew that pass had to go. In his mind. But
if he'd have looked up, he wouldn't have thrown it.
I think he was almost playing to as one of those things where I'm not gonna go Crowley this, but that's a thing Crowley would have because Crowley plays that close to the line. He would have gone into the gap that the defender was there.
And I think Sam as well in his style, like this is something that he will have to work on over the next couple of years. I think, which is he throws the flattest of flat passes constantly. And that is always going to put you at high risk of an intercept.
True. I think
this season he's thrown quite a number of intercepts.
True.
At both Leinster and Ireland, and some of that is just the symptom of if you throw the very very flat pass, and he throws them wide, like he's not going like the distance between me and you, like he's going like quite far. You're just going to risk that a little bit more, and I think that's just decision making. That's experience. That's him being in those positions more and more, and calculating that risk a little bit better, and as you say, kind of playing a bit more heads up rugby to be like, is this really on? Is it not? And stuff like that.
And once he works out that wind up, you know, he got caught hard with one of them, you know.
He did,
But we mentioned that before, I think twice this year.
It's
just one of the foibles of how he plays the game. You know, he just I'm going to launch this from the midfield to the wing, and he can. He's got, but then again, he had some amazing touches. The kick in the end to put us like 5 meters out from the bang center of the pitch, just inside the Australian half.
Massive kick, like because we were watching it, it's like, okay, right, he's pretty much in the middle of the pitch. It's 50 meters. So
I thought that we had the 22. To be honest.
But I was also like, would you go for the like? It's a 5-point game. You know, go for the 3. It's probably at the edge of his range, but it's right down the center. Like, to get within 5 meters from the middle of the pitch, like for a line out is no small feat outside of just like the pure distance of kicking, but also the accuracy of a kick like that to not accidentally kick it dead. Would have been so easy to kick that ball dead, pushing for that distance. And like, again, I think this is a youth thing, right? Like he's sort of not been burned. Like he's in that position still of like
he will take fear.
He will take those risks because it has not burned him heavy. Like in 10 years' time, he probably won't do that. Not because he can't, but because he'll have gotten it on the wrong side of it, or something will have gone wrong in a game, and he won't take that risk, and he'll go for the 22, not for the 5, or he'll go for the between that
percentage kick where he goes a bit shorter. No, but I think overall he had a decent game. I think his brother had a very good game, Cian Prendergast.
I agree.
He is the type of 6 Ireland need. Or back row, because Baird, it doesn't matter if it's Baird, Conan, Doris, Van der Fleer, Thomas Ahern, Cormac Ijichukwu, there's a dog in Cian Prendergast, a chip on the shoulder. I don't think the others have to the same degree. I think Ryan Baird's tried to have it, but I think he has it in like causing fights more than being a complete prick to play against, like on the pitch.
I think it's he's got that kind of like Peter O'Mahony, Roy Keane kind of like what we often associate with the Munsters, the Munster players and stuff like that. I think in Irish rugby, but I think just that like I'm angry that I'm here and I'm making it your problem.
And he gets his try early on, that kind of, and it was a strong try. He knew he scored it, like he muscled over. It's but he's a great line out option. He's up in the air. His delivery from the line out, it's always very good, like smooth, as few takes, and he's putting the ball into a basket for Gibson Park to launch off as well. And like they're the underrated skills that people kind of think about. They kind of go, the line out just going up and going down. No, you got to like deliver a ball on a plate to a scrum half who possibly could be moving to throw their pass already, you know? So he did those skills really well. He disrupted ball really well. I think he's very good as a defensive mauler. Like you can see him getting the arm in, like trying to disrupt Australian ball. I just really,
he protected the ruck well. Like Australia went really hard at the breakdown, particularly in the first half, and like really counter rucked constantly. Not just sort of like true bodies in there, but like genuinely properly.
Try and get 2 or 3, slow the ball down.
And he pushed back.
he did very well. I felt to like just disrupt that motion from them, let the ball come out quicker.
Yeah.
Back again like that back to Gibson Park so that it is a quicker ball, even if it's not as quick as we'd like it. It's not as slow as it could be, and therefore you're getting
and it's
something
cleaner as well.
Yeah.
You know, and on a day where Gibson Park had, for me, portrayed one of his worst habits of. There's times where the ball's at the back of a ruck or in a ruck, and he's kind of looking for the penalty of the refs is going, moving this game along. And refs, I've got smarter to nines doing that in general. And it's one of his worst habits. And I think there's games where it's worse than others. This was one of it, the upper end of it. And a game where he played very well. There's some great passing, great movement.
Yeah, some lovely kicks through as well in behind, like some clever kicks in and stuff.
So it's one of those things I'd like to see him cut that out of his game, especially in a game that's as bitty as today was. It's one of those things where he doesn't do that. He's suddenly playing a 9 out of 10 game handily, you know, but that just knocks him down. I think that was the knock on where he's looking for a penalty in the ball in his hand. There's one of the times the ruck was out. And he was kind of trying to get the person who was coming from an onside off for possession. Just going move if he's offside, it'll be called play the ball. You know, he's almost trying to ref the game. Now, tell me a 9 doesn't try and ref the game from the back of a ruck. And
again, I think a lot of the times that's just getting the line right. Like, you know, it's just like where the smart play there is, like, most players will try that, and depending on how the ref responds, you adjust, right? So I don't fault him for trying to play those things as part of the sport, right? It's kind of dark arts of the sport and stuff like that. But equally, you got to play the ref. So if you're not getting anywhere with it, you just stop it. Like, you know what I mean? And stop trying it, basically, is the thing there. So it's not a good trait, and like, it just didn't pay off, right? Like, it cost us some field position at points. It cost us with things like knock-ons, and again, scrum was under huge pressure, massive pressure.
Once again, like we said, this is third and fourth choice.
This
is Tom O'Toole is a tight head who has come over to Loosehead because
trying to do an Andrew Porter on it again.
Yeah, because I think they're trying to put Andrew Porter back to the tight head for when Furlong leaves. You know, you can see why they're trying to boost Billy Bowen's ability to play international rugby. If he can bring a scrummaging along, like, the guy's 20, he's going to be playing the next 2 games. Billy Bowen, at the age of 21, could be playing against the All Blacks, given how Lockman went off.
Yeah, I mean, most likely, hopefully Lockman is okay, but to me, he looked like he went fully unconscious. And again, look, just got his head the wrong side of a tackle. And again, you know, you coach kids and stuff like that. Like, that unfortunately is a clip you can be like, this is why you put your head on the outside of the leg, not on the inside of the leg. Arguably, even if he did stay conscious, he wasn't rapping because he put his head on the wrong side, and he could have been called for not rapping in the tackle. But he got knocked out unconscious instead. Either result would have been bad, but this is definitely the worst one.
But even without that, the Irish scrum was in trouble.
No.
The pressure came on Tom O'Toole a few times, and you could just see him fold inwards. Wasn't great. Like, our own ball, we got it in and out. There's Aaron do a lot of channel 1 ball now. That ball's coming through the back row, through the second row, back row, like lines, not even going to the 8's feet. It is
just get it out of there.
Getting gone. Australian ball. It's a worry that our scrum is being taken apart like that.
Well, again, right, like, you know, we're going to play South Africa in November. That's if the problem's consistent, we still have the injuries we have. That's not going to be a fun day.
No, and New Zealand will go after it in 2 weeks' time. So it's a worry. It genuinely is a worry. The line out is also another worry. I think as the game went on, Australia could read us a bit more.
Yeah, I don't know, is that a Joe Schmidt thing? Just, again, his attention to detail and knowing how to read a team, and again, knowing like how much of Ireland's attack comes off the line out.
Possibly.
Is he just drilling that? Like, and what I mean by this is, like, he'll have shown a template to other teams, but they may not be able to execute on that in the same way. And it's not as big a, what I'm trying to say here, I suppose, is it affected us in this game. Other coaches may not be able to coach that as effectively as someone like Joe Schmidt, given how good he is at reading other teams and preparing specifically for shapes and their strengths, and particularly set pieces. Like, he is excellent at being able to, like, this is your set piece, I'm going to pick it apart on you. It's not going to work against my team.
But I think he's done the homework for the next 2 teams.
Yeah.
Like, he's gone, like, if you see the shape, they can just show what Australia did. Like, so that, in that sense, now, can they do it to the same degree or to the same ability? That's a different question.
Consistency,
but
ability. Yeah.
ability to disrupt,
Yeah.
and the pictures to look for, Australia have shown other teams kind of
that blueprint.
Yeah, and it's not that we lost a lot of ball. A lot of it was just messy as well.
Three lineouts maybe.
Three lineouts lost. A lot of it was messy.
Yeah.
We won a few penalties because they were reading so well, but catching us in the air, jumping across.
Yeah.
Like even with the penalties they gave away, they knew where the ball was going.
Yes.
Their
defensive line was set up. They knew who to tackle. They knew what the shape coming.
So
was.
That's kind of that type of side of it.
Yeah.
The biggest moment in the game, though, for me, is that try at halftime, just on stroke of the whistle.
Yeah.
You're going 80 meters from your own 22. How easy would it have been to kick that ball out and just reload it and gone again?
Yeah.
That score wins the game. Obviously, in a game as tight as that, that's
Yeah.
But
I think psychologically as well, right? It often comes up, that kind of thing, that try before halftime, and it can kill off a game or it can win a game. Like at that point, Ireland are down 12 points. Australia very much have all of the momentum in their way. They're getting, as we say, line breaks kind of for fun. And it's not looking like a good day at the office. To go in 5 points down, right? Whatever, 24-19.
Much different.
So it's going into that dressing room, being like, okay, we are one score away from being back in the lead in this game, basically, or being tied in this game. That's a very different energy to go into the dressing room with. In particular, it's that's more valuable than coming out, in my view, and scoring
straight away
30 seconds into the
because
half.
you can talk about you can actually use that as an energy.
You can use it as a motivator and stuff like that.
But what's great about it is the variation of attack, the handling, the movement.
Yeah.
What's annoying about it is we didn't see it for the next 79 minutes. That attacking ability was rarely shown. I think Australia's defense ate up our ball carrying.
Yeah.
This is specifically, I think I saw Tyke Farrell carry 2 or 3 times and just get stopped dead on the tackle line. Mm-hmm. And that's not like him, of what we know him. And you kind of going, he's a big carrier. Joe McCarthy carried well, but he was almost turning out of tackles to make those extra yards. James Ryan barely, I don't think James Ryan I don't think James Ryan carried the ball that often.
I think he had 2 or 3 carries, but they weren't anything of note. He wasn't making any meters with them, and even I don't remember him pulling in. Often he won't make a lot of meters, but what he will do is he will pull 3 defenders in.
Yeah,
to the tackle. And
he carried 8 times for 3 meters.
Yeah,
it's not a lot.
It's not a lot. But equally, a lot of time he was taken down by a defender or maybe 2 at most. Whereas what you would often see with him is what he's great at is just being that black hole center of gravity of just pulling defenders into him to stop him making meters and then leaving holes for that's where he really shines in that unseen way for Leinster and for Ireland as well.
I think but even across the back row, Jack Conan's carrying, which normally is a lot more impactful, wasn't as impactful as it normally is, and Van der Fleer who does carry a lot more ball. Then Ireland use their 7 as a carry more than our 6. Mm-hmm. I don't think it was as impactful, and a lot of Ireland's attacking work started from a stop-start instead of running onto the ball. A lot, and that I found that quite frustrating to watch a lot of the time. And say when Timony came on, you saw a difference. I think the subs made a difference in what they were game plan they went out with.
Byrne had a big impact on the game as well. I think again, in terms of just driving it forward.
Timony was picking really good lines. He could have almost got a try of his own at one point. But those moments that we're talking about there are glimpses of what Ireland could do. There was no consistency about it. I don't think Ireland would be happy with their performance overall.
No, I think they'll be happy to take the win.
Yeah.
But they'll be I think I said this immediately after the game, where I was to a certain degree, it's weirdly the best position you can be in.
Winning ugly is always.
Yeah, and at the start of a series, because from a coaching point of view, it's okay, we got the win, so great, you showed determination, you showed that it is possible. Now it's refinement.
Yeah.
But there's still there's still gaps, there's still problems, and you can and everybody in that dressing room knows, at the end of the day, the prize here is they want to beat New Zealand in Eden Park, right? And they all know, there's nobody in that dressing room that knows that doesn't know that they can perform like that and beat New Zealand based on what we saw in the France and New Zealand game.
Yeah.
So they know they have to up the game and that they have to get to a higher standard in terms of both their discipline and their execution of the game plan, I think, both in attack and defence.
Definitely. And I think Ireland need easy a 30%, 40%. I think they need a real jump in what they're doing on the pitch.
I think the occasion will and we'll get to when that week comes, we'll get to that anyway. But it's more, they can get there, right? And I think as we say, the shoots of it are there, and as our theme was like, Ireland have been starting slow of late in the last certainly kind of 18 months.
So you'd hope in 3 games time
they'll be singing.
They'll be singing.
You'll see the performance like we saw in the Six Nations against England, for example. Like where it's like, oh, okay, this is there they are. There's the team that we know. They're not the paper tiger. They're not like, if people remember back, Six Nations was all this talk about Ireland, kind of like the declining team. You know, the best years kind of behind them, and maybe they have a one-off performance in them here and there, and then we get that England game, and you're like, okay, maybe not. Maybe there is life in the old dog yet, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think in terms of that England game, the worry would have to be an England game. That New Zealand game is the ability of line breaks. And broken play. The type of kicking Ireland had.
Now, I will say in that, because I agree with you, but that is also the kind of game that France play. So you had 2 teams doing the same thing.
It was joy to watch. It was joy to watch.
It's joy. What you wanted out of the game. Great way to kick off the series.
It's such a shame for, say, even Ireland looking at the Australia game, that we're not playing Australia 2 more in this series. Like there's some like that series.
Yeah, there's something. I mean, like you would love to see again France and New Zealand next week.
Yeah,
you know, after that game, and even Ireland, Australia again next week, to be like, okay, now that they like have figured each other out a bit, there's been this arm wrestling, it's only a 2-point game. Like what does it look like next week?
That was the joy of the series as all like the Team World Cup.
In case you can't tell, we're not necessarily a fan of
the Team World Cup,
the Nations Cup, or whatever the official name for it is.
People actually thought it was a Team World Cup when I tweeted about it, or like Blue Sky about it. I was like, it's not really called it. No, it's just I hate it so much I call it the Team World Cup.
Yeah.
Keenan, though, on the other hand, that the tackle in the second half where he just gets that's a try saving tackle.
Massive
a momentum breaking tackle as well.
Tackles him, pulls him to touch the whole thing. Like
I think he was. I know he got player of the match and everything, but his ability to read what was going on ahead of him was really good.
Yeah.
In a game where people weren't performing anywhere near their best, he showed what his best could be. You know, or glimpses of it. And like he was closer to his ceiling than his floor, you know.
Yeah, and like I always think with Keenan anyway, his floor, the gap between his floor and his ceiling are not huge, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, he very rarely has an off day. He might drop down to a 7 out of 10, you know, on occasion, but he rarely plays like a 6 out of 10 or a 5 out of 10 kind of game. Like he's so consistent in the standard that he sets out there. From that point of view, but I thought, like, you know, he deserved the man of the match in that sense. Like, there's no
took his try
there.
Really well. That's a great line. That's a thankless line if the ball doesn't go to him as well. You know, because there's 9 times out of 10 that ball goes out to Sam Prendergast at the back, and the defenders thought the exact same thing. Mm-hmm. They'd almost sat down ready for the ball to push off Keenan, and he was already through the gap. Lovely blind pass from Ringrose. Like we saw for Leinster. Do you think the centre partnership, McCluskey played well, I think, especially defensively, is there enough pace there to kind of cause teams an issue? I think that runs into our attacking weakness as well. It kind of relied on McCluskey breaking the gain line on his own at times. Sometimes there was no setup to give McCluskey a good run at someone one-on-one. Sometimes it was very much, there was very little deception, I think, in what Ireland are doing. It's almost too simplistic. But at the same time, they overcomplicated things
at times as
well. I was like, there was no consistency in Ireland's attack either.
Yeah, I think they kind of like, there was a lot of sort of dancing in front of the opponent without throwing any actual shape that would make them make a choice. Like, I think, you know, Australia were very confident of, okay, you're going to do this complicated move, but I don't have to engage in it. And then you'll just have sort of wasted a bit of energy in passing, and then I can engage.
It's like the James Ryan knock-on, which was very frustrating.
Yeah.
But he drew in defenders by having his hands up ready and available for that pass, you know?
Yeah, I think
it seemed like it was Aki's ball to go out the back door.
Yeah.
But it's that whole thing of, if you're not a clear and obvious option, you're not...
I think
the attack kind of just doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, Andy Farrell has talked about that a good bit, and lots of the coaches, like Stuart Lancaster talks about this a lot as well at Leinster, and I'm sure at Connacht and stuff like that. It's like, there is no such thing as a dummy runner. You're not a dummy. You're a runner. Like, you have to be if you're not an actual attacking option, then you're useless in what you're doing, because it will be evident you're not an attacking option, because this is professional sport. This isn't lads playing in a Sunday league and stuff like that. Like, you have to be ready to take the ball if it comes to you, and be ready to run your line and take your chances. So like, I think, that James Bryan knock on, I think it's easy to look at that and say, oh, what are you doing? Like, but at the end of the day, the pass is up at his shoulder. That's a hard pass to catch at pace, but he is doing the right thing, as you say, which is the thing he's doing wrong there is he's a little bit too early for the pass, but likely the pass was not meant for him, but he still goes to take it
because he's on top of it anyway.
He's on top of it anyway. And like, you can see the frustration in him that he didn't catch it. He's not frustrated that like the ball came to him. It's just that like
I failed in my job. He's taken himself personally responsible for not doing that job correctly at that time.
Yeah,
and I can.
But definitely. I think again, you're like, I am happy that he is in that position and he's trying to he's not just showing a potential option to the opponent. He's trying to be a potential option in that moment. And that makes him a bigger threat. So, like, yeah, the execution is a little bit off, but the intention, the strategy is the right thing.
Definitely.
And again, execution is the arguably easier thing to fix in all of that.
Definitely.
Right. So, like, it's one of those things of like right idea, wrong execution, right? And that is where you want to be. Like, I think, we maybe have sounded a little bit negative about Ireland in terms of that, but I think for me that's the summary of the game. A lot of the time is like a lot of the time the right ideas were there, the right strategy was there. It was just execution that let them down. Either that through their own discipline, and like or like their tackling wasn't great at times. Like they were slipping off a lot of tackles, or falling off tackles and stuff like that.
There was 35 missed tackles by Ireland. That's a lot.
It's a lot at this level, and like that's where a lot of those line breaks come from, and just like players out of position. That's execution, right? It's not that Ireland had the wrong game plan. It's just they didn't execute the game plan to the standard that they need to at test level rugby.
Yeah, there's some of those line breaks were literally one person slipping one tackle, and you kind of going, that's an individual error. That's I prefer an individual error to a system error.
Yes.
Because fixing the system's harder than fixing someone's tackle tech. Or like
totally, yeah.
Someone's like, I won't miss that next week. And like they won't miss that next week, So they're kind of ones you've got to live.
Yeah, you got to not that you got to accept them, right? Like, and I think as fans and stuff like that,
it's more accepting that can be learned from.
Yes, or that like this isn't a systemic problem, as you say. So like you're not looking at it as being like, oh, Ireland's defense is terrible as a system, and like we're in real trouble. You're like, no, we executed our defense poorly a lot of the time. So if we can improve that, we will be in much more of the fight against New Zealand in 2 weeks' time. Like, again, not worried about Japan that much. Like, I think in the Irish psyche, because of 2019, Japan now will always loom a bit larger.
Yes,
forever. But like this Japan team is obviously a shadow of what it was in 2019, unfortunately. But it is that thing of like like similar to Sam, right? Like Sam had a decent game. He was making the right decisions. He was following the right strategy. Just his execution was like 10%, 15%
off.
And like, again, that's a big percentage at this level.
Yeah, and I think a few players can say that about their performance. Yeah. It was like their performance was that 15% off the level they normally perform to.
Yeah.
And that's what causes...
that's what makes this a tight game.
Makes it a tight, and you are missing even I forgot Doris, in amongst that, and you're missing your captain, and that's it's a huge loss in there. I think his style of carrying was suited what Ireland were trying to do today. I think Jack Conan doesn't have the footwork that Doris does, and I think that some of those carries need a bit more footwork to kind of break through more than raw power.
I wouldn't underestimate as well, like people, I think we at times don't kind of appreciate like the loss of James Lowe is huge here, right? Like I think James Lowe is an interesting player and like obviously we haven't talked about other than his last game at Leinster for the final, but like in an Ireland context and for Ireland as a team, like he has been a huge player for Ireland throughout his career, and like not just on the pitch, but I think as like a member of the squad. Like he's an incredibly well liked member of that team. He brings a lot of like positive energy into those environments, a lot of enthusiasm. Like he's known in that way, and like a lot of these guys, by all accounts from the media, were sort of expecting this deal to get done. So like they will have been expecting him to be on this tour, and now he's not. And like that will affect them.
It's an energy well. I think it happens. You see it when Bundy plays. As well, that he does something. Even take the Keane try. I think who was the first person up there and behind the bib? It was Bundy. And even Frawley actually was there. In all fairness, it's that energy
that cheerleader kind of quality in the team.
Yeah, and as much as people hate like when England do them, cap them every single turnover and knock on everything, there's something about having someone off the pitch who's like that.
Yes,
that's missing. I think
that hype man kind of element to it.
Yeah, and Ireland, like, let's be general about the Irish psyche.
Yeah.
We're not comfortable with that type of personality in ourselves.
No, we don't. We don't behave that way. It feels wrong to kind of like culturally kind of act that way, even in the context of sport at times. Like,
so I think having someone who is that personality just helps.
Yeah.
Now, you're in camp, you're away from your family. Having someone who's just mental around you the whole time can just alleviate a bit of homesickness, a bit of like, oh, I wasn't training awful.
Yeah.
Like forgetting that sometimes this is a job. Like, and as for some players, this is just a job, especially at club level, and having someone who can just make it feel less of a job is very important in any walk of life as well, by the way.
100%. Yeah, but I guess like it acts as a stress relief, but it also acts as a bonding thing, right?
Yeah.
Like it builds that trust, it builds that it gets you excited, it gets you in the right headspace, it allows you to open up and be more accepting of criticism, be more accepting of feedback, to willing to try things, all of that kind of stuff.
But Andy Farrell has always looked for those players in his squad. There's been squad selection, like, why is player X in there? They might play only 5 minutes off they might only play in the Six the Italy game,
Oh, yeah.
But they're there for non-rugby reasons,
yes, or like non-game day reasons, in that sense. And I would even say, like, over the years, like, not even, maybe not in that positive cheerleader kind of sense, but like Pio Romani has been that player in the Ireland squad for a long time, right? Where like he has been that sort of like talisman, elder statesman,
standard driver as well.
And like driving, like I always think this with Leinster in terms of like Sexton, and like I think Leinster is still dealing with the gap that Sexton's left in terms of driving that standard of training and driving that, pushing everyone to be their best version of themselves.
It's a different type of leadership, you know.
And I think like James Lowe is a leader in that way in the team, and he's a big loss. Like Mac Hansen is a loss in that way for the team.
I think that's underestimated as well. Like off the people that are injured.
Yeah.
Hansen has that. Jay says you want to bring him down to the pub. Charm about him.
Porter as well. Like they all have these kind of vibes about them.
Like imagine even this week, you're in Sydney.
Yeah.
I'm sure Mac Hansen from playing in Super Rugby knows a spot or two that would be off the beaten track that they could go to have a bit of crack.
Yeah, has a few friends around that they can meet up with and all that.
Especially now they're going to play in Japan, in Australia. It will just help the tour. For themselves, and you kind of forget like that's the way it runs. And you need social players on the team. As well as they can't all be
robots.
Like,
at the end of the day, like they're not robots. Like you're not playing a video game here. Like they are human beings.
And having that diversity of personality is needed. And that's more than selecting a squad for this tour. It's not always the best players that are on them anyway, because it's the best people to implement the coach's vision.
Completely, yeah.
That's the same for the Lions tour when it was there. That's what that was iron heavy. I think we're still suffering a bit from that overlap and that very long season for some of these guys.
I think you see that in Tyke Furlong, right? Like like Byrne, like the two Tykes, like Tyke Furlong, Tyke Byrne.
I would have given them the summer off.
I'm just personally. Like they look
done.
They just look like they need a solid 2 months of a break just to rest up, to not think about rugby and be planning for a game. Not even physically, but just like mentally. Just to have that time off, I think is that they're going to need.
And they'll come back for the World Cup 5 times stronger for it, And it's that type of stuff. I hope both of them don't play next week against Japan.
Yes,
I think we can talk about Japan a bit more. They beat Italy 27-10. We didn't see it. It was on the Virgin Media Player. It wasn't on
TV.
TV, but them beating Italy in the first game will give them confidence. Italy. No more than ourselves are renowned slow starters, and all this type of stuff. So I think Japan will come in with energy. They'll definitely come in with a game plan.
It's a real shame the game is not in Tokyo.
Oh, completely. It's like it's such a shame.
It's like I've been to games in Tokyo. I had the pleasure of going to that World Cup. It was an amazing atmosphere. I do think you would have got quite a lot of Irish fans travel to Tokyo.
Definitely,
just because if you're doing that travel anyway for the
if you're in Australia, you're going to Japan.
Yeah, and just even like if you were in a position that you can afford in the summer to go to these test matches, you were probably at the Japan World Cup and probably have very positive memories of it, like I do, even though everybody at home didn't have positive memories of that World Cup.
Yeah.
Like if I was in that position and I had that kind of money and could take that kind of time off work, I 100% would have been like, there's a game, honey, there's a game in Tokyo. Let's go to Tokyo for a week in the summer. How awful.
It's really frustrating that game in Japan because, as we know from an Irish point of view, your gates at home in the Six Nations and November are what run the game.
Yeah.
So have World Rugby, in effect, taken that income from Japan?
I hope not, right? They absolutely should be getting the revenue regardless.
But even the rental of the stadium
and stuff,
takes from that, you know? And Fiji have the exact same issue playing in England.
And you can't make the same argument as Fiji. Like, the argument for Fiji, which I still don't agree with, which is that their stadium is not up to the standards for this level of thing.
No, not for this level of thing, for this competition. This competition that only started a week ago, they set the terms.
Yeah.
They could have went, well, of course you play your games at home, because why should you have to travel to England?
To Liverpool to play England.
Yeah.
To Murrayfield to play Scotland. Like, ridiculous. But you cannot say that that's the case with Japan.
Yeah.
Like, you absolutely cannot be like, there's no stadium in Tokyo that's like of the standard to play in it. Like,
we know
they hosted a World Cup.
Yeah.
Like,
no, it's...
you know, and hosted it incredibly effectively. So, like, and you'll see, like, Eddie Jones has been out doing the Eddie Jones thing and saying that, like, Ireland have too much influence over World Rugby, and maybe they do. Like, I don't know. There's certainly you can these kinds of decisions allow that sort of like conspiratorial thinking to kick in. I apologize if you can hear noise in the background. My dog is currently dreaming and chasing something while asleep, doing little woofs. It may not be getting picked up by the mics, but if you're hearing a weird sort of high-pitched thing, that's what it is.
But no, it's really frustrating, and like, don't get me wrong, I'm sure the Irish rugby team are delighted they only have to like go to one side of Australia.
It's great for Ireland. It's great for the team.
Great
certainly,
for the team,
like,
you know. But that travel will be part of the stress of the tour, and you know. That end is frustrating. It's going to be, I think it'd be a much changed Ireland team next week.
Yes,
I think
agree,
you're going to see Billy Bowen in the 23.
Yeah.
You're going to see Sam Milo in the 23.
Yeah.
Sean Jansen in the 23.
Yeah.
You know, they're I think
does Frawley get a start?
Frawley might get a start.
Yeah.
I think one off the Wards,
Yeah.
Will
I could see certainly Zach Ward on the wing now, given Balakoon's. Well, depending on how serious Balakoon's injury is, he may get a start just on the fact that he didn't play this game.
Yeah, so I think.
But you could end up seeing the two of them playing, like, you know, let them link up again.
It's in the 23. I think you're going to have a majority same starting team. Not start. I would say there'll be, knowing what I know of how Andy Farrell does this, there'll be 5 changes in the starting team.
Yes.
And no one will be happy with any of them.
No.
And there'll be 4 changes on the bench.
Yeah.
And 3 of them will be from the starting team, you know, so of this week.
Yeah. And I think, again, like, people complain about this sort of stuff a lot. We don't have that big a selection. Like, again, at the end of the day, it's like, you can't, in rugby particularly, you cannot expect to get consistency of performance and entirely change the team week to week.
Yeah.
Like, particularly if you're giving Sean Jansen, Sam Illo, Billy Bowen, like, game time, you're like, okay, well, if I'm starting Billy Bowen, I'm not also starting Sam Illo.
Yeah.
Right? And if I'm going to put Billy Bowen and Sean Jansen starting, everybody else in that pack needs to be as experienced as they can be to help those guys work within the system.
Like, you could easily see a back row of, say, Prendergast, Jansen and Timoney.
Yeah.
Tyg Burns starts with, say, James Ryan.
Yeah.
And you have Billy Bowen, Sheehan, or say Billy Bowen, Kelleher, and Tyg Furlong, or Tom Clarkson, say.
And I would say, like, if Billy Bowen is starting, it'll probably be McCarthy in the second row.
Bigger lock,
just more strength behind to support. Now, even, like, again, Japan, not the biggest pack in the world and all that kind of stuff, but just, again, to give that confidence to be like, you know, you've just got that extra layer of support behind you. Similarly, how I could see Conan in the back for that same reason, just to give you that, like,
he could be at 6 instead of Prendergast, just to kind of
just make it a bit more solid. Let Jansen do Jansen things and like play that role and give him the freedom and know that the 6 is just like set in stone. Somebody who's done it a million times, can act as captain, all that kind of stuff. So, you know, like, it's those kind of decisions. Because you do have to
factor in the captaincy in amongst all that.
Yeah.
As well.
So, you know, like, those are the, like, again, people will get annoyed at some of those decisions, but you're like, yeah, but what you're trying to do in that situation, if you're trying to blood these players in, you're trying to put them in where they're not exposed, where they can perform, they can learn, They can have people they rely on and get a bit of extra lift and strength from, and hopefully have a big impact on the game.
Yeah, and you have to look at like where do Ireland want to build the experience first.
Yes.
So would I like both Samuel O and Billy Bowen to get starts? Of course.
Yes.
But I think Billy Bowen starting is far more important, especially with Lockman being injured.
Yes.
Get him a start. Get him used to international rugby.
Yeah.
In case he needs to bench next week.
Yeah.
You know, and then have Tom O'Toole on the bench. You know, and like perfectly fine. And give Tom O'Toole the full second half if you have to.
If it comes to it, like in that sense. Like now he did look like he was limping around at the end of the game as well, which is a bit worrying. But like I completely agree in that sense, right? In the same way, like you want to give Sean Jansen the cap not because actually you have too much of an injury problem in that position, but just because of the season he's had.
Yeah, I think he it's that thing of deserving a cap is quite interesting because you don't earn a cap from how you play.
No.
You earn your entrance into the Ireland squad.
Yeah.
And it's the last 2 weeks and the next 7 days for them. Actually up until Tuesday, because that's when the squad's announced in-house. Of have you done enough to play, you know, and like that's where he's got to prove himself, and he's already proved himself in the RNA squads, you know, that emerging onto it, whatever it is.
He wouldn't be on this tour
without
that proof. In that sense,
yeah, definitely. I think he's earned his spot in the squad.
Yeah,
I hope he's earned his spot on the starting team just to kind of show what he can do internationally. As well, and that goes for a few players, even guys who don't have a high numbers of caps. You know, let's get rugby into these guys.
Yeah.
Quick sooner rather than later, and then go.
There's only now 2, 5, 10 games to the World Cup, basically 12 games to the World Cup in that sense. So if you're trying to get 5 caps even into these guys, you got to spread it out a little bit in that sense.
Got to get it done.
I think, like we mentioned Frawley earlier on. I think Harry Burns, obviously, I would say if I was like picking this, I'd say it's far more likely Sam is out of the 23, Harry starts and Frawley's still on the bench because. God love him, he covers too many positions and therefore he must be on the bench.
Always been his issue.
It's always been his issue.
Always been an issue.
It's going to be so interesting next year at Connacht in terms of where Lancaster ends up playing him if he does play him at 10.
I think he is. He is a running 10 at the end of the day. I think Connacht are leaning into running rugby.
Yeah.
So,
but what that will do for him as a player playing one position consistently, right? Like he played centre today when he came on and stuff like that. Like, you know what I mean? It's a long time since he played centre. He normally comes in full back or wing or something like that. But anyway, again, I think that's another change that is likely on the team. Casey possibly will get a start. Gibson Park again may get the bench.
I think Osborne will stay on the wing or maybe move into 12.
Yeah, I think some of that will just depend on whether Balakoon is back or not and stuff.
What annoyed me is you have Osborne on the wing with his big left boot, and I think he used it once. And it was one of the best kicks of the first half Ireland did. It was like today, I'm like, come on, and you know, a lovely kick. And it wasn't even a big booming kick. It was just a great kick down the edge. They barely used this, this really important left boot.
Yeah.
It wasn't missed today because we didn't kick nearly enough, especially in the first half.
Yeah.
But no, good game. No, not a good game. Good result.
Good result.
With a Met game and Met performance, I think.
Yeah, I think, again...
As Andy Farrell said, that was a great game for the neutral. And all you need to know about that interview from Andy Farrell post-game on the pitch was how he looked when he walked away.
Yeah.
And that man looked like someone just gave him 20 lemons because that was a sour face. He was not happy with that win.
No.
Like, clear as day.
No, clearly, and I think again, some people get annoyed when you're overly critical of a team when they win, but I think that's the standard that Ireland set for themselves, right? Like the expectation is like this is a decent Australia team, but it's not Australia of years ago.
No,
like this is an okay Australia team.
And they had a new 9, they had
and there's all the thing of like. Supposedly Joe Schmidt is done now at the end of this series and is handing over to Les Kiss, but also maybe not. Like maybe he's going to be staying around in some sort of supervisory
role.
What does that mean exactly?
It's back to the assistant to the head coach joke that Shearer and Leo used to have. It's like, is Les Kiss actually the head coach or is he the puppet beneath Joe Schmidt's fingers?
So it's very hard to know. There's all that disruption happening there with Australia, and Australia are very clearly
team on the build, trying to have something ready for the World Cup.
The World Cup when they're here,
and that's all that. And then you have more management turmoil with Eddie Jones. Is he allowed back in the stadium next week? Is he, because he was banned from today's game.
He was, So I mean, it's in Townsville, right?
Yeah. So is Jeddy Owens going to be in on the the head coach next week or something?
Entirely possible.
You should see Eddie Jones in a beard or something in the crowd, just kind of
or something. Yeah.
But no, that is us for next week. We'll be back next week to talk about Japan and Ireland.
Yeah.
We will be on Zoom, I'm guessing, presuming.
Possibly, or we may be again
here.
We will see how the week goes and all that kind of stuff.
So until then, thank you all for listening. Don't forget to like, rate, subscribe, and follow us everywhere on the second row. That's 2ND, not the word second. So until next week, good luck and goodbye.
Bye-bye.